Tampa Bay Rowdies, who have made a huge upset.
Your 2021 Eastern Conference champion.
A chance play to go! Oh, that is a delicious goal for Tampa Bay.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
6:15 p.m. Eureka's on my screen, not James. You might be asking why. The easy answer to that is there's a soccer game happening, not at Al Lang Stadium, little stadium called Raymond James in Tampa, Florida, USA versus Uruguay. Eureka, you're not there. You're not a real American patriot. That's messed up. But our typical colleague, James Knowles, is probably on his way, is there currently at the game. Starts in 44 minutes. Perfect timing. You can watch Eureka and I talk ball for a minute and then hop off and watch some U.S. soccer at 7. We're here live. It's Tuesday evening, a chilly night here in Arlington, Virginia. Eureka, I'm fresh off of an LSAT. I spent my day taking a test. Feeling good. We're happy that's done.
Good.
Happier to talk soccer at this point. Not a lot of stuff happening in the direct Rowdies world. We're in this kind of limbo right now where we're waiting for the season to end so we can really talk about roster moves. We can get some answers to the questions that have been lingering over the last couple of weeks. Who's staying? Who's going? A lot of the options left on the contracts there's question marks around who's going to be here next year, right? Or who are we letting pursue other options, right? We'll see. We'll hear about this. Like we said, this will be something we start to get answers on as the actual season comes to a close. Good news, the season's coming to a close. And we'll talk about some of the games leading up to that in just a second. Eureka, how's it going down there in your neck of the woods in the great state of Florida? You're not at the U.S. soccer game.
No, sir.
Messed up. What's going on down there?
No, I unfortunately wasn't able to take advantage of that amazing $40 buy a ticket to the Rowdies home opener and get a ticket to that thing. So
Yeah.
I hope the people that are listening to us right now live as they're tailgating U.S. men's national team, they did take advantage of that. And I hope to see a lot of green and gold on the broadcast tonight. But no, it's chilly. Please pardon my voice. There's a thing going around, and I seem to have caught it from my wonderful 4-year-old and all his friends at school. I think they brought some homework home for me. So
It's
I
unfortunate.
apologize for that if I cough on air. It's I'm trying to control it the best I can. So
Well, hang in there, Eureka. Like I said, good news is not a lot of Rowdies content to talk about, or bad news, I guess. You listen to this to talk about the Rowdies, but the good news is maybe we won't be rambling as long as we usually might. Tuesday night, 6:18 p.m. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Any platform on social media, you can find us at RBLR Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, the whole 9 yard. Wherever you're listening to us. YouTube, Twitter, if you're listening to this when it comes out recorded, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, make sure to give us a like, a follow, whatever the appropriate button is on those respective podcast platforms. We're coming out with content every week. Even in the off season, we'll be talking about the crazy world of USL, the crazy world of soccer in this country as a whole. There's some news on that front, Eureka, recently. With some MLS making some calendar changes, ? So lots to talk about constantly, even if it's not Rowdies related. But we'll be back to your regular Rowdies content as it comes out. Eureka, we are part of the United Soccer League. We need the United Soccer League season to come to a close before we can really get some answers to our roster questions. Like I said, we're getting there. In fact, one of the USL divisions, League One, had its championship game this past weekend. Let me say final. It had its final.
they had their final. That's correct.
It's confusing when you start saying the League One championship. Let's use the word final. League One had its final. It was between one Knoxville and Spokane Velocity. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to start off with the USL championship playoffs, though. Teams that we are more familiar with, teams that we have come to play throughout the season. Teams that we've played good soccer against. It's frustrating to see the teams that I think we actually played some of our better games against in the final. But I digress. Eureka, I'd like to talk about Pittsburgh versus Rhode Island really quickly first. This is a game that happened this past weekend, the first semifinal of the USL Championship playoffs. Of course, the Eastern Conference final. Pittsburgh and Rhode Island played a really tight game. It was at home for Pittsburgh in front of a really, really impressive crowd for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Let me fact check what I was about to say. I know it was in the 6,000s.
I didn't get the number. Yeah,
I'm pretty.
It sounded good though.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, 6,745. I'm 95% sure at the sellout in that stadium.
Yeah.
Just under 7,000 is their capacity on that high mark. Awesome stadium. If you've never had a chance to go, it's a really, really cool spot. It's on my bucket list. And when it's rocking like it was this past weekend, Eureka, it's a really, really fun atmosphere to keep an eye on. Not the biggest, but certainly compact on the river. It's super loud. Their supporter group gets really into it when they're, having a great crowd. And they impose themselves on this Rhode Island team, Eureka. I'd said this before. Rhode Island it's shocking that they're at this point in the playoffs, that they're even in the conference final. They were in the conversation to make the literal final. But they ran into a team that was playing better soccer than them on a better on their home turf, right? Rhode Island had some, surprising upset victories to make it to this point. But this is where the road ended for them. Rhode Island would drop this 1-0. It would be Robbie Mertz that scores a game winner for Pittsburgh in the 55th minute. It was pretty much all Pittsburgh through this first hour show of this game. Not a lot going on for Rhode Island. It wouldn't help that Rhode Island would pick up their second yellow for Mark Ibarra. Red card. They go down to 10 players. There's a siren going on outside my apartment.
They're going to get him for that spikes up tackle he made.
Yeah, bad tackle, silly tackle. Interestingly, I want to throw this out there because I thought it was an interesting kind of flow in the game. Rhode Island's 3 or 4 best opportunities, clear-cut chances, come when they're down to 10 men. Yes. Of course, they're pushing for the equalizer. Naturally, it makes sense. They'll maybe find a better opportunity or so. But they were quiet for the first hour of the game. Very little going on in the attack for them. It was really, really interesting to see how they pushed for the equalizer. Pittsburgh's keeper was forced to make a couple really, really big saves. Like I said, even up a man. He had a couple breakout opportunities. But it was Eric Dick that would come up big for them on several occasions. Ultimately, Pittsburgh wins this one 1-0. I would say rather comfortably. If you just watch the first hour, you'd think they were going to run away with it. Rhode Island's attack, we know, is nothing special in this game, but we did say it could be a close game because of Rhode Island's defense. But it was Rhode Island's push for the equalizer that I think made this game really, really exciting and interesting. You got any takes from this game?
Yeah, Pittsburgh took control of the game very early. Rhode Island had some chances early. Eric Dick did have to make a big save within the first few minutes of the game, but after that, it was pretty much all Pittsburgh up until they went up ahead and then went down 10 men that they had to kind of kick into gear. And even then, those were counterattacks. Like J.J. Williams had a breakaway that he actually it was pretty awesome. If you haven't seen the highlights, like ball gets kicked over to him, he controls it with his head. It goes, off the pitch. He's heading it forward to himself, and then he kicks it. He steadies himself and then kicks the ball over the crossbar. But it was a good chance.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh probably should have had a goal very early, but Koke Vegas, I think, played a good game for Rhode Island, right? Again, 1-0 was the difference, and both teams should have maybe had more goals than they did. Pittsburgh, though, if it wasn't going to be Robbie Mertz, it should have been maybe Augie Williams right after halftime. He had a phenomenal first touch strike right inside the box, crossing the keeper and slicing like just outside the goalpost. But what are you going to do? You go down 10 men, you're not scoring any goals, and you're waiting on a counterattack in that tiny little pillbox that they have as a pitch. It just wasn't a recipe for success. And so kudos to Rhode Island for getting this far. I think they've been, for 2 years now, they've been, I think, overcoming initial – this is an expansion club that's been this to the Eastern Conference Finals twice now.
Absolutely.
They've never not made the Eastern Conference Final in their history of their club, right? So
Yeah, and both times, I don't remember exactly where they were in the table last year. They weren't expected to come close to making it that far, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, they put it together pretty well, because the question was, they got all these last year anyway. They got all these players.
Yeah,
they brought in good talent, but it was like, can they piece it together? Well, they pieced it together pretty well.
Yeah.
And then this year, I think, was okay, we're coming back down to earth. We had our 1 year, and then they not snuck in, but they got into the tournament and took the most advantage they could to get as far as they did. So
yeah. And it's big for, especially at this level, Eureka. We've talked about this with James before, about how, some of these clubs can go a long time without impressive attendances or anything, and then have a pretty okay run, and they're starting to get some momentum back. Rhode Island's just had momentum from the get-go, right? Like they have
great fans in Rhode Island.
Yeah, and they have their new stadium, 10,000 people or so.
Yeah.
Great USL level stadium. It's perfect for what they need. Feels very like New England if you've seen it and you get to watch some of the games. It's a cool little stadium, and it's perfect for them. So they got momentum. They're going to continue building their fan base, their culture over there. Rhode Island is a sports crazed state. They have not a ton of it in Providence area, so they like having their pro teams there locally. So good for them.
This was Pittsburgh's first ever Eastern Conference championship. That was more surprising. That Pittsburgh's never been, they're not Louisville City, but like they're a stalwart, I think, city, and you would hope that, and especially with them and their aspirations of building a stadium and going Division I and other things like that. They're red hot, and now they're in the championship.
Yeah,
fine.
And they didn't have a ton, going for them this regular season either. I didn't think they would be one of the teams we'd see at this point. I guess, all bets are out the window once Charleston and Louisville go down so early, right?
Magic of the tournament.
But here we are. They're not a team that, is depending on a big result like this to continue to build their fan base. They have a great fan base in Pittsburgh. They'll usually come close to selling out their stadium for most of their games. Like great, consistent 6,000 type of 6,000 average attendance type of crowd. So good for them. Happy for them. That's a good point. Yeah, you make a good point to mention that they haven't made it this far ever, which again is crazy because it feels like they've been kind of, they've had some down years, but I feel like they've usually been in the conversation as one of the, examples of the Eastern Conference.
They're not a punching bag for sure.
And who knows? I don't know what the Bob Lilly thing is, but they've had Bob Lilly there for a few years, right? One of the best coaches in at this level. It's kind of interesting that this happens and then they make it. So I don't know anything. I don't know.
I got no intel on that one.
I'm not saying Bob Lilly is the problem, and as soon as he's gone, they make the final. I'm messing around. Just an observation.
Sure.
Eureka. Pittsburgh wins this one 1-0, makes it to the championship final.
Yes.
It's going to be a really, really interesting game. They're not going to be hosting it.
Nope.
They'll be going away out west to one of the teams in the other semifinal that won. If you kept up, this wasn't, I don't think, a huge surprise maybe for you if you're watching ball this weekend. Tulsa beat New Mexico United 3-0 in the other semifinal, the Western Conference final. It was a dominant performance from Tulsa, particularly in the first half. They played in front of their home crowd as well. By the way, I just wanted to throw a shout out to their crowd because I saw the attendance number and was kind of taken aback by a Tulsa crowd that just hasn't shown up all that often. They brought 9,180 people to this game.
Good for them.
James and I pointed this out early on when we started talking about playoffs, that Tulsa is a team that is having a good year. They would probably benefit. They'd be one of the teams in this playoff bracket that would benefit the most from a deep run. And now they're in a position to win the whole thing. Great crowd. I think that was needed for them to kind of revitalize things. I'd said it was needed for a North Carolina FC now too, but who knows what's happening with them at this point. Tulsa certainly deserved it. Great. Happy for them. I wanted to point out one of the stats that I found interesting.
Okay.
If you go to, I use FOPMob, but you can use whatever app you use. You go to the first half stats, Eureka.
Yeah.
11 shots to 0 shots in favor of Tulsa. 6 shots on target to 0 shots on target. Well, that would make sense, obviously, right? In favor of Tulsa.
Yeah.
3 big chances for Tulsa in the first half.
Oh,
Missed
there's
2 of them.
yeah.
Yeah. Still managed to go up 1-0.
Yeah.
The first half was the more dominant one if you just look at the stats. But it's funny that they actually closed out the game in the second half when New Mexico's pushing for an equalizer. It was Calera that would score the first 2 goals of the game in the 39th and 57th minute. And then Weber puts it away, nailed the coffin in the 76th minute.
Yeah.
I would say the better chances in both halves. That's how you say. That's how you speak English.
Yeah.
But New Mexico opened themselves to danger when they're pushing for the equalizer in the second half. So not all that surprising that they were able to find a goal or 2 there. Eureka, this game was interesting. My prediction was that Tulsa would take the win here. I did not expect it to come so. I don't want to say easily because it wasn't. Tulsa had to make a few big saves in the first half early on to keep it.
Yeah.
Sorry, not in the first half. Later on.
No, but that's a true statement as well, though.
They showed up and they win 3-0 in front of their home fans in a really impressive performance that makes me think that they're the favorites to win it when they're hosting Pittsburgh. But we'll talk about prediction in a second.
Okay.
Did you have any takeaways from this game that surprised you? I think I was not expecting this to be a 3-0 type of game. I've expected it to be a high-scoring affair, but on both sides. That was my prediction last week. I was expecting like a 3-2, maybe a 4-2. So a 3-0, rather dominant performance from this Tulsa squad.
Yeah, I mean, I think New Mexico had a couple of amazing chances that I'll get into in a second, but Tulsa probably should have put 5 on the board, to be honest with you. In the 26th minute, well, I mean, Tulsa was just all over New Mexico from the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They had a header that had to get saved. They were creating chaos in the box in the first 13 minutes, where there was a scramble and there was a couple blocks and the keepers jumping around. And even had to dive in through the box to make a save.
It was off of a back pass that just went wrong. Yeah.
I mean, Tulsa was being creative, making the play, creating the chaos, creating the opportunities. In the 26th minute, there was a free kick that comes into the box, and I can't remember who did it, but a smooth back heel attempt, it would have been, Sports Center top 10 goal if he would have been able to just no look back heel it into the net off a free kick. It was pretty clever, but saved ultimately. Again, it's just that Tulsa had a phenomenal high press. It was just a suffocating high press on New Mexico that they really couldn't create much at all, really, to be honest with you. And then Calera finally. He's done what he did all year, man. I think he scored the most goals in the league. Tulsa overloads the box, and then he buries it. But coming out of halftime, New Mexico should have tied. I think they should have tied it in the 52nd. They finally are getting deep into Tulsa territory. Our guy Deion Harris with a patented quick burst down the left side.
Yeah.
And he makes a really good pass into the center where Zico Bailey is just standing in the box with time and space and opportunity, and he just gets denied from the keeper. And Deion it's so good to see him running down the sideline, man. I miss him.
Great run.
It was awesome. But he, to be honest with you, I thought they should have had a goal there, and then they get penalized or punished for that 5 minutes later with the second, which again wasn't pretty. It was another one where Tulsa just had a ton of people in the box, and they're poking at it and trying to get it, and New Mexico can't clear it, and then right on the goal line, it's being deflected, and then Calera just taps it in. Not pretty soccer, but now you're up 2-0. Dayon had a shot off the woodwork that was great and wasn't a really, really good attempt about 10 minutes later. And then at that point, I think the game is just kind of in the bag. Weber makes it 3-0, but it was over before that. So and it was a good little pass into Weber, who got by his man on the back line, kind of nutmegged the goalkeeper for the third goal. But at that point, it's I think like James and you were saying that when the Rowdies had a game where it's like you're up a goal or two and you just a third one goes in because that's the kind of game that it is. But Tulsa earned that. They earned it through their suffocating high press. They earned it with a dominant offensive performance in their final third, and ultimately, they are the Western Conference champions.
Yeah, well deserved. Probably the best team in the Western Conference this year. Sacramento had an argument. Obviously, finished behind them in points, but Tulsa, good team. No surprise, I think they're in the final. All the chaos was in the eastern side of the bracket. So,
but there were goals. At least there were 3 goals. I don't know if there has been 3 goals in any of the championship tournament.
Yeah.
Like it's notoriously low scoring this year.
Yeah,
so
a bit sleepy in the goals compartment. But if you wanted chaos, you certainly found some in the Eastern Conference. I guess we could say things were a bit more practical, pragmatic, straightforward in the Western Conference. I think this will be a fun final, by the way. Looking ahead to the final that'll take place this Saturday, 6 p.m., Tulsa, Oklahoma. Unfortunate that it's at a baseball field. These things will work themselves out, I think, as teams continue, to find their identity and place in their communities. I hope Tulsa. I don't know if Tulsa is one of the stadiums or teams that has a stadium coming up in the future.
I'm not up to date on that.
On top of my head, I can't remember. That being said, it'll be another great crowd.
This is their first. Tulsa's never been to the final either, have they?
Yeah, absolutely. No, they haven't.
Yeah, look at that. We're gonna make history.
Exactly. There'll be a new USL championship winner. I'm trying to remember if Tulsa, I don't think the Roughnecks, quote unquote, made it to this point either. I'm trying to think.
Before my time, brother.
Point is, this will be a fun matchup either way. Great crowd is expected. Obviously, over 9,000 folks for this semifinal. Shout out to the New Mexico United fans as well. They have a great fan base, and there was a good chunk of them that made that travel to Tulsa, Oklahoma for this conference final. So made for a great atmosphere. I would expect the diehard Pittsburgh River Hound fans will send a great contingent out to Tulsa as well. It'll make for a great atmosphere. I'm looking forward to this one. This one will be a fun one to watch. Saturday, 6 p.m. I'll be home already for the holidays, so I have a great spot at home to watch the USL final back in Tampa, Florida. Looking forward to it. I think we'll have a good one on our hands for sure. CBS, right? CBS Main, CBS proper.
I think it's.
I'm pretty sure. Right?
I think it's on CBS proper.
Yeah. Sweet. That's fun. More exposure for the USL. I'm sure there'll be some folks out there who will get exposed to this league for the first time, and that's dandy. I think that's great. Eureka, any predictions for this final? How do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have Tulsa, who they've just been dominant at home. I think they haven't conceded a goal in a long time at home. And Pittsburgh also, I think the way they beat Tulsa is to slow down the game. Don't let Tyler Calera just run around. So I think that's Tulsa might have more possession, but Pittsburgh, I think, if Calera and Danny Griffin are my kind of like guys you want to watch. Like Danny Griffin for Pittsburgh is kind of a stalwart defender in that midfield, and so I think if they can own the midfield while Tulsa's trying to just suffocate them and own possession, they might be able to break out and get something going. So, but it's defense from both these teams. Yeah. And I think that's how you have to play it. If you're going against the number one goal scorer in the league, you have to turtle up maybe and hope you get one on the counter, or just hold it and hope you make it to PKs, which I think that'd be fitting for the way this playoffs has gone. As I think it's a 0-0 I think it's maybe 1-1 or something, but it'll be tied, and we'll go into extras, and we'll go into PKs, and that's how the championship's going to be. So, that's what I expect.
Fun fact, and you made me fact check this. You were right. I was thinking when the last time Tulsa conceded at home was. I remember seeing this stat. Last time Tulsa conceded a goal at home was September 6th against Birmingham Legion. That's 6 home games in a row.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's over 600 minutes. Yeah.
6 home games in a row without conceding a goal at home. And against good teams, too. We're talking about Colorado Springs switchbacks 2 times, Phoenix Rising once, obviously New Mexico United this past weekend. Lexington started getting better on the back end of the year. San Antonio was a decent team. Yeah. This is a squad that just doesn't concede all that much. But and Pittsburgh doesn't either. Pittsburgh made their name this season by playing great defense.
Have they conceded a goal in the playoffs at all this year, Pittsburgh? I don't think anyone's scored on them in the playoffs.
They haven't. No, I mean they've made it, off of penalties and the penalties again, and then 1-0 win over Rowdies.
Hey man, it'll get you a cup, brother.
They're playing I don't know if anybody. This is the Portugal style way of winning the Euros. They just won by drawing every knockout game, making it to penalties and knocking them out. If it works, it works. What happens against this Tulsa squad, Eureka, is that they're great defensively.
Yeah.
But they're also really good in the attack. They've scored a lot of goals this year. They scored 50 goals in the regular season.
Yeah.
They're impressive on both ends. And there's teams that have been great in the attack and with their back line as well. Louisville was just ridiculously impressive this year. They 50 has been that for the Western Conference. Not to that same extreme, but they've almost scored the same amount of goals, conceded 30 goals, which is about as good as you can get without being Louisville this year in the regular season. So Tulsa's going to be a really, really tough matchup for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's used to playing on weird fields, which Tulsa has a weird field.
Yeah, it's a baseball stadium field.
Yeah, it'll be a little wacky. You can see the mound still there. It'll be wacky. It'll be goofy. It's peak USL soccer. I think it'll be a great game regardless. So I'm going to guess that Tulsa wins this one. And that's not a hot take, but I think they win it 2-0. I think they have some solid offensive firepower, and I think they'll break through pretty quickly. What's happened a lot with some of these games recently, especially this past weekend, and you'll see it when we talk about the League One game as well. Team goes up, other club goes up, tries to equalize, right? Tries to push the field a little bit, gets caught out in the counterattack. That's kind of what this game feels like it'll be for me. Pittsburgh concedes kind of early-ish. They start pushing for an equalizer late in the game, and then Tulsa gets a counterattack goal with their speed. That's what I'm feeling. Unfortunately, James, Eureka, is he back there somewhere?
No, he's not.
No former Tampa Bay Rowdies in the final in this one. We had 2 options between
Junior Eto.
Is he still in Pittsburgh?
Am I wrong about that?
I think you're right, actually. Well, maybe one Tampa Bay Rowdy in the final, former Tampa Bay Rowdy. Yeah, you're right. No, Junior Etu is in the Pittsburgh squad. So one former Tampa Bay Rowdy. I was thinking about JJ and Zach Arabo and Dayon, and it's totally still on my mind that Etu plays on Pittsburgh. So maybe some former Rowdies representation holding a trophy. We'll see. I think it's unlikely, but there's only one way to find out. Tune in 6 p.m. on CBS, live from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's great. I love soccer. I love soccer being in a smaller city like that, having opportunity to shine on a national stage. That's incredible. That's awesome. Rika, anything else to say on the championship playoffs or where we've been so far, what we expect, anything?
I wish we were in it. Wish we were in it, but and I wish there were goals. I would tell you it was fun to watch the playoffs, but it's kind of excruciating, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think the final has. I think this is a good matchup. Again, I think these are good strength on strength matchup, and we'll see if defense can beat top offense. So.
Yeah. It'll be a good matchup for sure. You're right. I think we'll have a fun one on our hands. Atmosphere will be great. Like I said, I think it'll be all the makings of a fun show.
And I think it's great that you have two new clubs getting into the final.
Yeah.
like you said, the health of these cities. We need all of these communities to be
Absolutely.
pumped with excitement.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. I think it'll be a great showcase for USL soccer at, the national stage in the final. So it'll be a good time. Like I said, 6 p.m. Saturday, live from Tulsa on CBS. Eureka, the other USL soccer happening this past weekend was a fun matchup for the League One trophy. The USL League One final hosted in Knoxville, Tennessee, between Knoxville and Spokane Velocity. This matchup was one I wanted to keep an eye on for a variety of reasons. Again, I wasn't sure how Knoxville would, rally for their team, just generally, not just for the final. I just wasn't sure if Knoxville would be a great place for soccer. Yeah. I've regularly been proven wrong in terms of clubs that are sustainable and like their cities and their towns that are sustainable. Knoxville showed out for the final, Eureka. They had a crowd of 7,500. It was a sold-out crowd in that stadium. Broke the League One record. There's been a couple teams in this division that I've just been really impressed by their engagement with their communities, right? Mm-hmm. Portland, Knoxville.
Yeah.
Spokane has had a great run of attendance as well with their crowds out in Washington. We've seen Naples get some great crowds. Omaha's been some great crowds. There's some teams that have been really impressive. Other teams, maybe not so much. I think of the Westchesters of the world. But I was really, really impressed by Knoxville. And more beyond the result of this game, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah. I'm really, really happy they got the great crowd. I think it's proving to themselves, to me, to not that my opinion or your opinion is this huge important thing, but It's proven to outsiders that Knoxville is a successful, sustainable, long-term project for soccer. That's really, really good. And that's great for the USL ecosystem broadly.
Agreed.
Great atmosphere, great crowd. And they got to see their team win 2-0 in a somewhat controversial game. Rosamilia scores the first goal in the 4th minute. They quickly get on the front foot. It looked like it would be a long night for Spokane. But Spokane Velocity kept themselves in the game. They kept finding, it was a little scrappy. They had a lot of possession. They weren't able to do a ton with it. A couple clear-cut opportunities that were just not meant to be. It was Sean Lewis for Knoxville that make a couple big saves in this one. The controversial bit was regarding the penalty in the 54th minute. This was it was questionable at best. Okay. These are the moments where I'm really wishing there was some type of VAR in this league, in this organization, in this division. It's unfortunate. It was a questionable foul call at best, and it was certainly outside of the box. It was a penalty that Knoxville should not have had, but either way, it was a goal for Tequila. What's his name? Okay. Kempes Tequila. They go up 2-0 on a penalty, and they didn't look back, Eureka. Spokane had one more good opportunity toward the back end of this game, but Knoxville wins this one 2-0 at home. Former Tampa Bay Rowdy Abel Caputo is on this squad and was able to make the final. Good for him. We only had him for a few games, it feels like. Yeah. But hey, former Rowdy representation in both finals. He's a champion, so good for him. I said representation in the final, which is correct. Beyond that, he has a trophy. Happy for him. Happy for the squad. Broadly, more importantly, maybe happier for the League One ecosystem that they were able to have a fun playoff.
I dig it.
Great crowds.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of the games. Naples had a good playoff crowd. There's some good games in this playoff. I'm not sure how many Rowdies fans or USL Championship fans generally are all that privy to League One playoffs.
Right.
But it was a fun watch and certainly worth keeping an eye on next year if you haven't paid attention this year. Quality's there. Crowds are great, getting better, especially on the top half of, crowds in this division. There's some great atmospheres. So that's the broad takeaways. Knoxville, deserved winner. They played well. They played better, even though the call in the back half was questionable on the penalty. Certainly deserved to win this one. And had the better season. So I think the best team in the League One in this one. So good for them. Happy for Knoxville. You got any thoughts on this game or League One playoffs or as a whole? A lot of takeaways here.
As a whole, I think that it's a good little ecosystem, like you said, that they're building. I think that I'm kind of Rob Lowe with my League One cap. We've had, as a Rowdies, we've had a little Tormenta comes up all the time, and that's always a nice thing. We now with the Jaeger Cup, we've gone down to Naples, which they have an awesome setup down there. It's I think because of the Jägermeister Cup, that the USL Championship fans that only follow their team will start to learn about the other local or regional things, which in turn helps out the league. And especially if there's one-day promotion relegation, I don't think it's outside the realm to think that a couple of these League One, I think League One will be the incubator that gets you to the championship and ultimately USL Premier, right? Like in a perfect world. And you're having, I think you're going to see some clubs maybe go down to League One before they come back up. And the whole ecosystem, I think, is something that people can learn more about. And I mean, our coach becomes the first Dominic Casciato. We've seen, we've gone down to League One with Mendez and Alvarez and brought people in. I expect there to be more things. Then there was Omaha, a couple other players that got, what's his name? I can't remember. He was the player of the year for Omaha, and he got pulled up earlier the year too. So League One isn't that far off of a gap in terms of quality from some of the championship squads just in mass. And I think that more people should pay attention to League One, and if not, to see the future of the championship and maybe a player or coach that ends up on your local USL championship squad. So,
When you're watching the Jägermeister Cup, I remember talking a lot about the upsets that were happening, and it seems like there were a lot of them on the back half in particular of the group stage. Maybe in part because at that point, some championship teams realized they didn't have a chance of qualifying, throw in the subs, let them get good minutes and save them for the regular. Certainly a factor on the back half, but you saw these results happening like at the beginning of the group stage. You know what I mean? Like important first games. Top teams were getting knocked off. Charleston was losing to Naples, I remember. And those I think it was one of the early games in the group stage. Like it was still an important game. Charleston didn't know they were out already. Like there was a lot of that happening around the league. Absolutely right. There's not a huge gap by any means, which makes for great games for, the continued success of the Jägermeister Cup. We know of, and we'll talk about in James and I we'll do a whole episode on expansion teams coming up. But we know Sarasota Paradise is coming up from League 2 to League 1. Fort Lauderdale United is going to be around in League 1, right? Like adding, to
I can't wait to boo the crap out of Fort Lauderdale United.
Yeah. Adding to their and if you watch it, you want Keeping Up with the Sun, you'll be familiar with that organization, right? Because they already have a squad in the USL Super League. So adding to that organization, the men's team. Long story short, the ecosystem is continuing to grow. I hope there is continued support for all these clubs. Obviously, like I want the best for soccer, and I think it's really fun, particularly that there's so many interesting, ambitious expansion projects here in Florida. Right, a lot of the in-between cities are getting these clubs. Right, Naples, Fort Lauderdale, out on the East Coast, like the Space Coast area, is getting an expansion club. Sarasota, right? Like these cities in between the major cities are getting their own clubs for their communities to rally around. It's fun, very ambitious, right? I'm not sure, the community is that interested in soccer in all of these communities, right? So I'm curious to see if the success is there. Obviously, want that, but relating it specifically to the Rowdies, it means there's going to be a lot of fun matchups, particularly at the Jägermeister, in the Jägermeister games, right? It'll be a fun game. I hope this tournament continues to be called the Jägermeister Cup, by the way, because I love calling it just the Jägermeister. It's so fun. It's so fun for the Jaeger, and we know what we're talking about. So good for League One, generally, good for soccer, good for the USL, and good for one Knoxville, beating Spokane Velocity 2-0 at home. A great matchup. Good for them. Eureka, there's a few more things to talk about outside of the USL. We can talk about them in just a second. We run through it. I'm going to throw a shameless plug in here. really quick though. It's off season, but it doesn't mean you can't get ahead of your shopping for next year. It's the holidays. People like to get the gifts at this time of year, right? Someone in your family or one of your friends is really in need of a new green and gold Rowdies inspired piece of merchandise. Head on over to shop.rblrsports.com, where you can find some of the cool new threads that have been cooked up. Plenty of gear relating to your Rowdies, your Sun, your Buccaneers, your Lightning, your Rays. Who am I missing? I feel like that's everyone. I'm sure I'm missing something. Is there Bulls content on there? Do we have Bulls gear?
Not yet. I haven't cooked up anything for the Bulls yet.
Yeah. Everybody else.
Suggestion.
Promo code COYR for 10% off your order. Like I said, it's the holidays. Go out and grab something for your friends, for your family. Get them something fun. Get them an RBLR Sports branded Tampa Bay sports gear. So many cool things over there. Like I said, shop.rblrsports.com to find your future gift for the folks in your life. Okay. Or for yourself. Get yourself a gift. Eureka.
You're worth it.
There's a lot of stuff happening in the world of soccer. Right now, we've been, in full international break mode. Just want to throw a couple interesting storylines in here that have happened today or are going to happen later.
Yep.
Or this week, or we'll see, right? World Cup qualifiers. A bunch of teams in, a bunch of teams out. This was a fun one for our lovely co-host, James.
Yeah.
Scotland squeaked into the World Cup with a really insane game today. They won 4-2 against Denmark, right? Was it Denmark?
Yes, Denmark.
At home. Insane atmosphere in Scotland. It was so cool to see those goals sneak in and get to their first World Cup in almost 30 years. Really, really great stuff. The expansion of the World Cup has been criticized. It's been, a little chaotic. People have had their thoughts on it, but it's made for some really interesting storylines and for some teams to get into the World Cup that are certainly good teams, right? We're not talking about like some random Scotland squad that doesn't deserve to be like playing good soccer, deserve to be there, and will be a challenge for anybody at the World Cup. Other storylines: Jamaica or Curacao. One of those one of those countries will be in the World Cup, either for Curacao for the first time ever, or for Jamaica for the first time in some decades. It might as well be the first time they've been in the World Cup. It's been that long. Jamaica or Curacao, whoever wins will be in the World Cup. They play tonight at 8, so in just about an hour. There's a lot of soccer to keep up with. If you're, at the USA game, watch that. But if you're at home, this would be a fun game to keep an eye on as well. Jamaica versus Curacao, 8 p.m. If Curacao draws, they're into the World Cup. Again, just insane. The game's going to be played in Jamaica, so it'll be a really fun atmosphere. I love, watching some CONCACAF action, but, outside of the U.S. or Mexico. It's really great to watch, the stadiums fill up in Jamaica and Curacao and, Costa Rica and Panama, all the countries that don't get all the attention they deserve in the world of soccer and CONCACAF. They've been getting some awesome atmospheres, and it's been really fun to watch. So keep an eye on all these games. Haiti could sneak in tonight if things go their way. It's insane what's happening, particularly in CONCACAF. If Haiti, they have Nicaragua tonight, who haven't been too great. They need to win by a certain amount of goals, and Honduras needs to, not win by a certain amount of goals or draw or lose to Costa Rica. So we could see Haiti in the World Cup too. Just a bunch of island countries making it to the World Cup for the first time. It's awesome. It's awesome. Keep an eye on
and the proximity, all these CONCACAF nations, the proximity to where the World Cup is this year. Let's go.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. So keep an eye on your phone. Keep an eye on the storylines tonight. There'll be a lot of action happening on that. And Ecuador plays New Zealand tonight in a friendly. It'll be fun to watch, but probably not. Ecuador doesn't score goals. They just draw merchants. They've drawn a million games in a row at this point. It's kind of impressive.
Let's go.
Eureka, we have a fun note about the U.S. men's national team. If you were keeping up on social media, you might have seen this. What's been happening on the Waters Avenue complex? Have you seen this?
Yeah. So we had a little birdie tell us that they were training at the facility, that we weren't able to report on that. But from the pictures that they released, we can tell you that the U.S. men's national team was training. They got some really good photo opportunities and some jersey swapping between the coaches.
Yeah.
And it's also just good to see the coaching staff of the Rowdies is Leo Fernandez and Jan Ekra and Dominic and it's really good to see them getting to interact a little bit, even if it's just for a photo op and some hanging out time. at the complex. But the Rowdies are a massive club. I don't know what to tell you. You know, this is one of the perks for the U.S. men's national team. They get to learn from our coaching, and obviously they're going to put 4-1 on Uruguay tonight. So
which is starting right now.
Yeah, exactly.
How blessed are they to learn from Dominic Casciato?
Of course.
Speaking of national teams training at the Rowdies complex on Waters,
I like this.
This is something that we saw. This came out, I want to say, a week and a half ago, and we saw that the Rowdies applied to be a host. Yeah, there's a better term for it, but I think there's an official word. I want to say it might be host. To essentially host a national team during the World Cup. To turn the Waters Avenue complex into a home base for the duration of a national team's time at the World Cup. They will be part of a broader brochure of host options for a national team to choose from. So,
look at that.
Yeah, avenues, Waters Avenue, perfect next to the Wawa. I mean, I think that'll sell.
There's a PDQ. There's a Wawa. Yeah. There's Jazzy's Barbecue. What more do you need? There's a couple of pitches too. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be dependent on where teams are playing their group stage games. I'm sure we won't see a team playing all of their games on the West Coast training in Tampa. We'll see what teams are training or playing their games on the East Coast, and those will probably be the teams we're more likely to see potentially at the Waters Avenue complex. So pretty cool. We could see a national team training at a Rowdies complex for the duration of the World Cup. We'll see which one. We'll see if any will, and if so, which one that'll be. But pretty cool. Great complex on Waters, certainly world class, and we'll be in great shape to host a quality national team. And I just want to throw this in here at the end. Eureka teased at the beginning. We saw that Major League Soccer is aligning their calendar with the global soccer calendar to play their ball in the winter. Pretty interesting. I don't have a ton to say on this. It's just curious. I think it will. There's been questions about whether this is the right move for a long time. I think it's fine. I'm pretty neutral on this. I don't really have strong opinions. But interesting. I would be curious if USL follows suit sometime in the next few years, because it seems like it seems like United Soccer League would like to kind of be part of the broader ecosystem of the game. You know what I mean? So I would imagine this is a move that USL makes at some point in the near future as well. But an interesting note nonetheless. So keep an eye on that. It'll be cold. Whatever.
I'm surprised MLS did it. I think USL was going to do it eventually, because the Super League is on the international schedule, and I think they're trying things out and kind of tinkering with it. I'm surprised MLS did it this quickly. I think USL has to do it, especially if they're going to implement Pro-Rel for real in this league. The transfer windows just need to line up better. And the cons that, rightfully so, people out there, it's not all pros, there are cons. Weather is a big one. We're going to have to figure out if we have to schedule around it, like MLS is trying to schedule around the weather in some of the northern states. But also, we just have to figure it out. I mean, if we the push that we need to make as a country, and I think some of the other cons, which is it'll overlap with American football of either college football and NFL and things like that. And it's at this point, we need to carve out a niche. There's a soccer niche in this country. There's some people who watch everything, some people who only watch soccer, and I think having our local clubs be on the same calendar as the national clubs, or as the international clubs that a lot of American fans follow, and getting us on the same timetable with contracts and things like that of players. I think there's less limitations on the kind of players, especially younger ones, that could come to an American first division or even second division and make some noise. So.
Yeah. I'm sure it'd be easier to find suitors when you're trying to send the kid to Europe as well, right? We've seen it become more of a thing, right? With USL sending a few young kids to make their name in Europe. Some fun transactions recently from Louisville, from where else? There's a couple clubs recently. Birmingham, did they send someone? Charleston sent. What's his name?
There's been what's the Golden Boot winner last year?
Yeah. Marcanic.
Nick Marcanic. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. You're right. I think we can expect to see this on the USL front sometime in the near future.
I think they have to do it.
Yeah.
I think if, especially now that MLS did it, I think we have to do it. But even I think it should have been in the plans as soon as you announced you're doing pro row. So
yeah. Expect to see some freezing cold games in Toronto and Montreal next year. I think Vancouver has has a dome in their stadium. I'm pretty sure. I think they'll be all right. Yeah. Whatever. Cool. 7:05 p.m. The U.S. soccer game started about 6 minutes ago. Now it's 7:06. Let's head over and watch that, Eureka.
Yeah.
Follow RBLR Sports on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Threads. Anywhere you are, we're there too. You can follow me at CarlosTPA10 on Twitter. I've been tweeting a lot about Georgetown basketball this time of year because that's the college basketball season's upon us, right? They're having a great start, so it's been really fun to keep up with them. Eureka, what's going on your Twitter?
I am at Eureka RBLR on every social media. It's a lot. My Denver Broncos are the #1 team in the NFL.
There you go.
My Denver Nuggets are on a screaming tear through their first few games of the NBA season. The Avalanche are one of the best teams in there, and so the Denver teams are they're my hometown. They're my mother. The Tampa teams are like my wife. I chose to be here and I chose to follow these. So there's a lot of Roma. Roma is killing it in Serie A. So it's like it's all love. It's a lot going on in my world right now. So
sweet. Cool. Like and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're getting your podcasts. You're watching this live on YouTube or Twitter. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Wherever podcasts ever have existed in the history of podcasts, we are also there. Eureka, it's been fun. We'll probably see James back next week. Who knows what happens? Come on, you Rowdies. Let's hope there's Rowdies news next week.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.